Welcome to the Munchkin Minute, your bi-weekly look into some tabletop gaming news and more. I'm your host, Dan the Board Game Man, and this is your news for September 8th, 2025. After the base game and first expansion, which was called Artifacts, Renegade Game Studios released Curses. That's the next expansion for Vale of Eternity. That'll be out early next year in the US. I'm pretty sure it might be releasing at Essen this year, and it looks to be about $25. Now, if you're not familiar, Vale of Eternity is an amazing game. It's one of my games that was one of my favorite games of 2024. It's just kind of like a late 23, early 24. So most of the people in the US got it. Some of the cool kids got it at late 23, but most people got it last year. And it was one of my favorite games of last year. Such a great kind of card drafting, tableau building game with a lot of really good interactions between the cards. And depending on what round it is, that's how many cards you can have in your tableau. But you're either getting cards that you're kind of putting in your hand and then summoning them. And kind of the way that they, have instant interactions or instant things that will trigger, or things that'll trigger every round, or things that'll trigger at the end of the game. It's a really, really good game. And Artifacts kind of brought you a thing that happened kind of in the beginning of every round and some other powers that you could use each round. Now, Curses, this has a bunch more cards. It adds player powers and, of course, adds quote unquote curses to it. Now, these will give you negative points at the end of the game. And of course, these curses will have chits and it will have their own effects with cards. And of course, like kind of as the game goes, like there'll be different cards which will trigger off of curses or use curses or get rid of curses. And there's also these kind of other tamer tiles, which are going to be used to get more currency if you flip them, or when you have them all kind of cured, you'll be able to get rid of some of the curses that you do have as well during the game. Next up, Board and Dice is going to release yet another heavy Euro from David Turczi called Thebai. This should be out in October of this year. And it's another game, again, it's designed by a great David Turczi, who's really known for all of these kind of tea games. Board and Dice has a lot of these tea games that they put out that are all kind of heavy Euro, Teotihuacan, Tekenyu, Toledo, and then they've also got other great games that they've put out. But this particular one is right up that same alley. This is an interesting one because it's kind of building up the city of Thebes, I think is what it is. So it's a kingdom or city of Thebes. And as you're kind of playing the game, you're putting your kind of, there's dice that are kind of, well, you've got workers and then there's also dice with different numbers on them. And as you're kind of using your workers, moving them throughout the city to trigger other actions, these dice will go up and down, depending on if they're yours or other people's. If you have to go over another person's die, it will trigger up. If you go over your own, it will trigger down. But you really don't want to go down too far because then you could lose points in the game. And you want to get, you don't want to give other people too much things as well. But also those dice will also kind of then shield you from invading armies. Another really decent Euro, again, has that same kind of feel. David Turczi is a really solid designer, and this one is a medium to heavier weight Euro. 1 to 4 players. They'll have, of course, a good solid version. You're looking at probably about 2 to 2.5 hours, especially early on, to play this one. Sticking with the kind of heavier Euros, Devir has another good heavy Euro that's going to be coming out early next year in the US. This one is called Orloj, the Prague Astronomical Clock. Hopefully I've said that right. This one should also be available this year at Essen. It looks like it'd be about $60 to $70. Another one that's 1 to 4 players, plays in about 2 hours. This one, boy, there is a lot of stuff going on. It almost reminds me a little bit of kind of SETI in a way, because there is kind of a part of the clock that is moving one way, another part that's moving another way. And as you're kind of lining things up, that's going to be kind of your actions or things that you're going to trigger. There's also some other kind of spaces for your worker placement. There's a bunch of tracks. It's the Euro for Euro lovers. It's like a very dry, I don't know if it's dry soulless Euro because there is kind of a theme there, but it is a nice big sprawling Euro right up every alley that I want. I love all the different tracks. I love having different things that you can do. I'm sure there'll be some, different player powers. You're going to be triggering different things on your player board. It looks absolutely amazing. Probably a little heavier than Thebai, just kind of all the actions and things that are going on in there. But it looks absolutely amazing. Essen is a nice time of year. This is that time of year when we're right before Essen. Essen always has a lot of the really cool Euro games that come over there first, and then they bring them over usually first of the year. Somebody either partner with somebody or game companies like, whether it be Renegade or Board and Dice or even Capstone, they bring over some of these heavier Euros. Lighter now, we're going to head on over to Steve Jackson. Steve Jackson Games has announced a new themed Munchkin set. This is based off of Critical Role. This will be Munchkin Vox Machina, Critical Role game. That'll hit US early next year. It should be about March for $40. I'll have a little link to the pre-order in there. And of course, knowing Munchkin, you'll know exactly what you're in for with that theme of Vox Machina as well. Next one, I don't know if this is kind of a Mandela effect, or maybe I've just been seeing this one that it's been coming soon for a while, but I feel like I might have covered it. But if not, hopefully I did not. But anyway, this is a new flip and write. This is based off of the amazing classic game Ra. I love Ra. The good, solid Euro game, little classic. This is Ra and Write. This was released by 25th Century Games. This one should be out in another couple of months. Maybe, I don't know if it's an Essen release, but it should be out in October. It should be about $30. I really kind of like this because in Ra, there's so many things. There's kind of like set, it's in a way set collection, but you're kind of using the different, numbers on the different things that you are kind of bidding on and then trading them out. This simulates some of that because there's different things that you're collecting. You don't want to have the lowest and you want to have the highest. And depending on where you are, you're going to have either lose points or get points. But it does have that really cool flip and right feel to it. It looks great, and it's going to be a quicker playing one, maybe a little bit of a teach to it, but still pretty quick playing game. 2 to 5 players for this one. And of course, anytime you play with these roll and rights, you're going to want to, anytime you play these roll and rights, you're going to want like a good 3 or 4 people just to have maybe not necessarily the interaction, but just more players in there makes it play a little fun, but it's always going to be easy. I'm surprised it says 2 to 5. I guess that's probably because of the, min and maxing of the different things, but I'm sure you can do a solo with that particular one as well. At Gen Con, we saw CGE showing off the adventure chest for Lost Ruins of Arnak. Again, one of my favorite games of the last 5 years. I think it was my game of the year in 20 or 21, whatever it was. And it was a huge storage solution, this adventure chest for Lost Ruins of Arnak. And it also had an expansion in it as well. So now CGE announced the release date for just the expansion if you want to get it by itself. That's Lost Ruins of Arnak Twisted Paths. That'll be out in the third quarter of this year. Again, probably Essen release because that's when all these things come out, and there's CGE, which is in Czech. So you'll probably see that, but it should be out over here around the same time as well. This one should be about $35 to $40. I will have a link to the CGE site where you can pre-order it in the US and other areas, but it's got a lot of cool stuff on there. The thing I really like are the huge boards that change up kind of the temple. There's double-sided board. They're going to have the night and day like the regular kind of the base game, but the way the temples are is so cool looking, and they've got kind of dark tablets, light tablets, more stuff for the solo game. Just a lot of really cool things that you're going to have in there. More assistance, more temple tiles, more research tiles, man. And it just looks absolutely great. And again, it has some more stuff for the solo version, which I love that it adds that as well. Next up, we've got Synthezoid Smackdown. This is Marvel Champions Synthezoid Smackdown. It's another scenario pack for Marvel Champions. That should be out in November of this year. It should be about $30 for these because they're not huge box games, but they're also not just an individual hero. They're kind of a scenario pack, which is just kind of somewhere in the middle. Now, this has 2 brand new customizable scenarios featuring She-Hulk and Vision, 2 heroic leaders clashing over their conflicting ideals. It's a 90-card scenario pack, comes with 8 modular encounter sets, 4 for registration, 4 for the resistance, and they can be mixed and matched with those from the Civil War expansion to further customize the options with that whole kind of theme that's going on. Also included are rules and cards and optimal competitive mode in which players team up with their own leader and race to be the first to defeat the opposing team's leader. This looks great. I absolutely love Marvel Champions, as I always like to say, but I like this kind of cool way of bringing new ways to play the game into play, which is very, very cool. And finally, in the news, Archon Studios, they're taking pre-orders now for the new World of Tanks TCG. Now, I know there's a lot of TCGs coming out all the time, but I just kind of like the way this one is. And World of Tanks is hugely popular. And they've got the kind of the miniatures game, which I think was Gale Force 9. And now you've kind of got a TCG, which is probably a little bit more up my alley, 2-player. And this one plays really quick, 15 to 30 minute games. And I will put a link to their pre-order, and you can kind of find a video from there as well to kind of their kind of announcement video. You've got tanks in there, of course, a lot of different tanks. You've also got pilots for that you can put onto the tanks, and you're just kind of summoning out. And it's kind of has that deck building feel, as you're making things for the TCG to get your, change how your deck builds, whether you want small tanks, big tanks, combination of both, and which type of ones you want. And of course, they will have blind packs where you're going to be able to get more things for that, for your different deck as well. let's head on over to some crowdfunding. First up, we'll talk about Kickstarter here. I wanted to talk about this one because this is a game that I absolutely love, the base game, Endangered. And this is the Endangered Australia pack. It's got 3 new scenarios, 2 new ambassadors, and a new role and other fun surprises. A great cooperative game. There's about a little bit less than 3 weeks to go in this one, and this is put out by Grand Gamers Guild, and you can get in there. You're going to get the Conservationist for $57 in that, or you can get the rescue pack that they've got, which is kind of another just kind of add-on pack. That's $10, or you can get the Activist, which has a little bit of a combination of a little bit of everything. This is funded, and I really want to see how this one can go because I love to see get some more funding their way because again I love Grand Gamers Guild, and Endangered is a fun game. Next up, this was a game that I talked about as one of my to try from Gen Con. This is from a good friend of mine, Ben Rossett. This is the Game Makers. He's the designer of this one. This is the Game Makers, an epic board game about making games. It says craft and market 300 real board games and a strategy game for 1 to 6 players, simultaneous play. What Ben put out, you'll remember Fromage from last year, and it almost looks like that Lazy Susan type gameplay with the round in the middle and the way you're playing this. And, you have simultaneous turns, the way you're kind of making things out there. And it's really cool that they got all these different games to be kind of partnered there to have people have their games inside the Game Makers. It is also on BGA. I just started a game on BGA to see how I like it. I'm sure it'll be good. Again, I talked to Ben at length at Gen Con, and I'm sure it's got a lot of that same gameplay that we come to know and love from him. 1 to 6 players, plays in about, it's 60 to 90 minutes. So you're kind of looking at a 1 hour wonder, but I bet probably that first couple games about 90 minutes. And I absolutely, again, it looks really cool. So kind of the way that they do the Lazy Susan in this one is different areas are kind of locked out at different times as kind of the board rotates, and you'll have different things that will be able, different types of actions that you will have depending on kind of as the board is turning there. Looks great. You can get in this one. This is a little pricey though here. So you're looking at the Completionist Pledge for $199. Pledge Manager Access, of course, is in there, and then just a regular gamer pledge to get in on there for $150. But it does look like there's a lot of stuff in there for this game. So definitely, if you want to try it, go to BGA. It's on beta now. You can get in there and play it, try it out as well. Probably watch a video, see how it plays, and then go on there and check it out. This one is already well funded, nearly $500,000, or just past $500,000, and it's got about 3.5 weeks to go as well. Next up, we've got Art Society Deluxe and the expansion. Now, it says Art Society cracks up the fancy for you, not just with this luxurious version and brand new expansion. This is from Mighty Boards. You can get in on this one for about $30 US for friends in high places. Then you could also get the deluxe edition, is about $70 US for Art Society. So, and you can get the all-in, which gives you that base game deluxe and the expansion for $93. 2 weeks to go on this one, and well funded. A couple of these that I kind of like, almost like the little project that could. I do like some of these kind of smaller projects sometimes that have to do some interesting things. This one is Last Week of Summer, a modular board game set in 1986. What a great year. The Mets won the World Series. What a great year that was. High school is over, and you can have one more. I wasn't quite in high school yet in 86. You can have one more week to make the most of summer. Pretty cool looking Euro game as far as making friends, doing different things throughout your day. It just looks very chill. This is from Allies or Enemies, and you can get in this one for about $63 US. There's also a retailer pledge for you if you want to get a bunch of copies of it. Check this one out. I really kind of like the looks of this one. Has about a little less than 2 weeks to go to get on it, and it is funded. But again, kind of these unsung gems that I like to find. And like that one, just like Last Week of Summer, this one too, Airport Empire, build your airport, connect the world, has this tycoon feel to it as well. Airport Empire, about 2 weeks ago, it is funded. But again, another one of these under the radar ones to get in on. And it looks like you can get on this one for about $50 US, which is the base game. There's a Maverick pledge for $65, which has a cosmetic expansion pack to it. And they also have the Golden Age of Travel expansion pack with the base game for about $80. It looks pretty cool. So definitely let me know what you think about these two little engines that could, like I said, the ones that won't fly under your radar. You don't always want to see those ones that make $500,000 or $1 million, just because that you'll see those everywhere. These are the ones that may not make it anywhere if they're not funded. So definitely check those out. That was Last Week of Summer and Airport Empire. I've got 3 quick ones to get from Game Found, and you're probably just going to know about these already. These are the ones that you will know because they have $1 million already. First one is Elden Ring, Rot and Sorcery. This is an expansion. You can also get in this one all the initial stuff for Elden Ring. So there's a bunch of different places you can do the Golden Pledge for around $258 for this one. But this is by Steamforged Games. It is nearly £1 million or I guess that's €1 million, whatever it is that they're putting it on there. But there's a whole bunch of things. There's only a few days left, but you can always get in on these for the late pledges. And it is huge, sprawling game like you would expect for Elden Ring. And of course, it looks great. I'd love to try this one out. I mentioned this one at the last show, but I wanted to mention it again because it's got about a week to go. Because also I love Ark Nova and Ark Nova 3 Edition. That is the way to over craziness that is for Ark Nova, like you saw at Castles of Burgundy. It looks great. I really want somebody that I know to get this so I can play it because it looks great. Again, Ark Nova, one of my favorite games of all time. And finally, we have the Gilded Realms International Print and Expansion. Now, Gilded Realms has that. It's a Euro-style kingdom builder board game, and it's set in a medieval fantasy world where players are tasked with ruling over their young but ambitious kingdoms. This one is kind of a medium to heavier weight Euro, plays in a few hours, and this is published by Sandtime. And again, you've got all-in pledge for $370. Somebody just get this so I can play it, because I do want to look like it does look like one that I do want to try and play. And I do love those kind of kingdom builder type games. So you're looking at, again, Elden Ring expansion, Ark Nova 3 Edition, and Gilded Realms up there on GameFound. Thanks for joining me today. If you see any news you think I'd like to feature, shoot me a message at GeekJockDan on Twitter. You can also shoot me a message on Instagram at the Geek All-Stars, and also on Discord. I am up there all the time on the Major Spoilers Discord. So you can just check out the different areas, the tabletop games, or the Munchkin Land area. I will talk to anybody. When it comes to board games, I just love talking about it. I love to hear what people are and see what people have been playing. But also, of course, check out majorspoilers.com for more content by Steven and the rest of the Major Spoilers crew. And also check out the Geek All-Stars podcast. We just did a show about the Fantastic Four. We did our spoiler alert episode on Fantastic Four. So if you've seen it and you'd like to listen to us talk about Fantastic Four, definitely check that one out as well. So as always, I am Dan, the Board Game Man, and I'll see everyone in a couple of weeks for another Munchkin Minute.
This podcast is copyright 2025 by Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC.